Individual differences. Know yourself and your counterpart. Gender differences in negotiation. There may be no simple answer to the question of how gender influences negotiation, but recent studies are shedding light on differences that do exist and on why it can be hard to find them in broad brush comparisons of male and female negotiators. Men and women conceive of negotiations differently. Relationship versus task orientation. Competition versus collaboration. Is the situation perceived as a negotiation opportunity? Outcome expectations. Men and women communicate differently. Men and women are treated differently. Similar tactics have different effects when used by men versus women. Exchange tactics. Studies suggest that not only do men and women receive different outcomes during salary negotiations, but that the same tactic may have opposite effects on salary negotiation outcomes. Aggressive tactics. Male and female candidates were less likely to be hired when they bargained aggressively. Females were far less likely than men to be hired when aggressive. Gender stereotypes affect negotiator performance. Stereotypes undermine the performance of female negotiators. The negative effect of stereotypes about gender differences can be overcome. Overcoming the disadvantage of gender differences. Motivational interventions. Activating a stereotype may motivate a person to act in a manner consistent with that stereotype. Individuals will act to overcome stereotypes when they are motivated to make a positive impression on the other party. Cognitive interventions. Focus on things that negotiators have in common that transcend GE and DER, such as common goals or identities. Reframing the nature of the negotiation task itself. Approaches to studying personality in negotiation. 1. Conflict style. 2. Social value orientation. 3. Interpersonal trust. 4. Self-efficacy. 5. Self-monitoring. 6. Machiavellianism. 7. Face threat sensitivity. 8. Big 5. Personality traits. Conflict style. 2 levels of concern underlie the 5 conflict management styles. Degree of assertiveness a party shows for his or her own outcomes. Degree of cooperativeness the party shows toward working for the other's outcomes. 2 personality dimensions represent these levels of concern. Degree of assertiveness. Degree of cooperativeness. 5 major conflict management styles. A competing style, high on assertiveness and low on cooperativeness. An accommodating style, low on assertiveness and high on cooperativeness. An avoiding style, low on both assertiveness and cooperativeness. A collaborating style, high on both assertiveness and cooperativeness. A compromising style, moderate on both assertiveness and cooperativeness. Social value orientation. Preferences regarding the kinds of outcomes people prefer in social settings where interdependence with others is required. 2 orientations. Pro-self or egoistic, primarily concerned with personal outcomes. Pro-social or cooperative, preference for outcomes that benefit both self and others. Interpersonal trust. Determined by the experiences that people have in dealing with others. Individuals differ in levels of interpersonal trust. High trusters believe that others will be trustworthy and that they need to trustworthy themselves. Low trusters believe that others cannot be trusted to observe the rules and may feel less pressure themselves to trust others. Self-efficacy. A judgment about one's ability to behave effectively. Plays an important role in complex interpersonal behavior, including negotiation. Higher levels of self-efficacy lead to higher outcomes. And setting higher goals. One's perceived level of competence at negotiation may increase the likelihood that collaborative problem-solving will occur. Self-monitoring. The extent to which people are responsive to the social cues that come from the social environment. High self-monitors. Attentive to external, interpersonal information. Inclined to treat this information as cues to how one should behave. Low self-monitors. Less attentive to external information that may cue behavior. Guided more in their behavioral choices by inner, personal feelings. Machiavellianism. 1. Those scoring high in Machiavellianism tend to be cynical about others' motives, more likely to behave unaltruistically and unsympathetically, less willing to change their convictions under social pressure, more likely to tolerate behavior that violates social norms, more inclined to advocate the use of deception interpersonally. Machiavellianism. 2. 4 conceptual elements theorized. Distrust. Amoral manipulation. Desire for control. Desire for status. Face threat sensitivity. The concept of face refers to the value people place on their public image or reputation. Some people are more susceptible to reacting in a negative way to threats to face. Threats to one's image will make a negotiator competitive in a situation that might otherwise benefit from cooperative behavior. The Big 5 personality traits. 1. Extroversion, sociable, assertive, talkative. Agreeableness, flexible, cooperative, trusting. Conscientiousness, responsible, organized. Achievement-oriented. Emotional stability, secure, confident, not anxious. Openness, imaginative, broad-minded, curious. Negotiators higher in extroversion and agreeableness were more likely to do worse in distributive bargaining. Effects of personality were lessened when negotiators had high aspirations for their own performance. These elements of personality did not affect how well negotiators did in complex integrative bargaining. Cognitive ability. Synonymous with the general notion of intelligence, cognitive ability has been shown to influence reasoning, decision-making, information processing capacity, learning, adaptability to change, particularly in novel or complex situations, linked with success within integrative negotiation settings, implicit negotiation beliefs. Incremental theorists believe that negotiation is a malleable skill and can be improved. Entity theorists believe that negotiation skills are fixed. Results from various studies found that incremental theorists outperformed entity theorists by a wide margin. Behaviors of successful negotiators. 1. During pre-negotiation planning, consider more outcome options for the issues being discussed. Spend more time looking for areas of common ground. Think more about the long-term consequences of different issues. Prepare goals around ranges rather than fixed points. Do not form plans into strict, sequential order. Carefully consider limits. Behaviors of successful negotiators. 2. During face-to-face bargaining, make fewer immediate counterproposals. Are less likely to describe offers in glowingly positive terms. Avoid defend-attack cycles. Ask more questions, especially to test understanding. Summarize compactly the progress made in the negotiation. Do not dilute arguments by including weak reasons when trying to persuade the other party.